Hey everybody, this is Greg. Sorry we haven't been able to catch up the last couple Fridays. I really wanted to take some time in our early out to kind of front load and answer some questions about our upcoming training. Unfortunately, weather has kind of got us all a little out of loop, but hope you're all safe and enjoying another day off of school. But I wanted to send out an online PD because I think it was important to get some of these questions answered and kind of get us set up to begin next Wednesday's training. So first and foremost, there are amazing things happening in our building, both with technology, without technology, just teaching. And there are some things we also need to kind of work together to get over and move forward. But in the end, it's not about technology. Technology doesn't make any of our students learning better. What makes it better is you. Your front loading of technology, your integration of technology, all those things. But in the end, it's about us. It's about you. It's about teaching. It's about building relationships with students. And just looking at this picture, it's pretty powerful what a collective group of people can do and the impact we do have on young people. So again, let's not get caught up in the technology. It's about what you do day to day. The technology just helps make that better. So real quickly, what this video is about. I won't talk a little bit about our upcoming professional learning, the role of communication in learning as well as technology environment. Also, kind of introduction to what is blended learning, as well as what our lead learners Google Classroom is going to look like and what we're going to use it for. So firstly, our embedded scheduled learning. Starting this coming Wednesday, we're going to have the opportunity in 3-week cycles. It's going to last about almost 3 months. All of you will have the opportunity to get some professional development that meets you where you're at. This professional development is going to be differentiated, just like we do with our students. We have some learners who just are ready to take off. They understand the technology and the tool component. They're ready to really begin to implement the theory component. While we have others who need some extra support in developing everything from working within G Suite and Google Docs and forms and drawing and sheets, to perhaps understanding how the Chromebook environment works alongside their PC environment. And all of those things are okay. Because one person is in a learning group that another person isn't, that doesn't matter. Don't be confused with the group you're in. Just like we do with our students, it's not a matter of wrong or right or less or more. We just need to meet people where they're at. And hopefully this training is going to bring all of us up to an equal playing field. And we can start learning and speaking some of the same language. And really, a lot of people are in the same place. I think we just get lost in some of the technology language and the lingo and the educationese. And we're going to try to dispel some of that and bring it down to a simple level starting this Wednesday with our training. So what is this training about? Well, firstly, we're going to look at technology integration models. And these are key. I mean, just like any teaching we do and any expectation we have of students, there are objectives and there are learning models. Some of these are like the SAMR model and the TPACK model and blended learning 6-stage model. We're going to tear all these apart much more in depth, but if you're interested and if you're anything like me, you want to come to a meeting or training and have a little forethought and understanding, check out SAMR model, check out the TPACK model, and go check out the 6 models of blended learning and how these work together. We're also going to do some simple Chromebook use. Some of our user groups need some extra support with G Suite and just simple technology and Chromebooks, and that's great. And we're going to do some of that, and other groups are going to start integrating and building theory into their classrooms. But we're also going to use these training times as a time to share, to learn from one another, to construct some personal goals, some team goals, and build upon those. As part of this larger training, we're also hoping to embed some peer observation time. What this looks like is this. I want to get people out of their classrooms and into others. Well, how do we do that? I'd be glad to take your class for an hour. I'd love for you to have the chance to go observe some of your colleagues, some of the integration, some of the teaching strategies they're using, both with technology and not. So during these Wednesday training times, I'd love to work with you to implement and integrate time to go observe your colleagues. So I'd love to watch your classroom. We'll talk much more about that, start scheduling and setting some of this up. As well as another component of professional learning is this coaching dynamic. And I've been so blessed and fortunate to work with so many of you and working together to demonstrate and to observe and to have these conversations about learning and about technology integration and what the blended environment looks like. And we'll continue to do those. just give me a call. Just email me. There is nothing cooler than a teacher calling me at 9:30 at night, saying, "Hey, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm so excited about this, and I need just a little extra support in this." That's amazing. That is incredible. That people are taking the time at 9:30 at night to develop lessons and so excited about it that they want to call and talk about it. Keep that coming. That is the coolest thing. That's why I get up and do what I do. So in this environment of technology, we keep hearing this myth that like technology is isolating us and students can't write and students just text everything and they've lost this capacity to communicate. What's amazing is we actually have more capacity to communicate than the human world has ever known. But we've got to start taking advantage of that. I mean, technology is great with Classroom and email and Instagram and Snapchat and Twitter and Facebook and Remind and email and all these things are super. But we've got to start reaching out to each other. We have to. We have to talk to parents. We have to be upfront. We have to be straight with parents. But most importantly, we've got to communicate with students, whether it's feedback, informative and summative assessments, whether it's feedback on behavior, feedback on learning, whether it's simply asking students what they want out of the classroom. But I think one of the biggest deterrents to our ability to talk with each other is the simple fact that we've forgotten we can walk across the hall and rely on the most powerful people in our building, and that's each other. We've got to get back to those basics of building that community support. The people around us, there's 800 people in this building at any given time at the high school. We have to remember that every single person from the 14-year-old to the 70-year-old in our building knows something we don't. That is powerful. So in that regard, and recognizing the power that every person brings to the school every day, we've got to remember the smartest person in the room is the room. We've got to keep that in mind. We are so much stronger collectively. I've added this little video, and it's funny, but it's a great reminder of the value of good communication. And you can certainly watch that in the presentation at another time. If you ever think you're the smartest person in the room, you need to find a new room. Surround yourself with those who are going to build your pedagogy, your technology integration, your understanding of blended environments. It's so important to wrap yourself with those people. So what does a blended learning environment look like? Well, simply in this quick introduction, there is no one definition. My working definition, and you're going to develop your own over time and run with it. My definition is simply this. It's a combination of technology instruction, face-to-face instruction. Together, the two help to foster a student-centered learning environment where students have choice, where they have option, where not only are they having to provide answers to your questions, they're creating their own questions, questions that can be used to solve real-world problems that have relevance to them. More importantly, relevance to all of us. That's what makes blended learning so important. But I want to also interject here. Blended learning and integrated learning, or technology integration, are two separate things. They're often used synonymously. Really, if you want to look at it, and we'll explain this more and expound on this idea much greater over the coming weeks in our embedded training. But blended learning is really why. Why does face-to-face combined with technology instruction or online environments help to create, or why is this important to expanding a student-centered learning? The how is the technology integration. So we have the why, the blended learning, and the how, the integration. Blended learning is difficult. There's no bones about it. It takes time. But once we start to foster and water and grow these environments, they become much easier to work in. But for these environments to be successful, they have to be intentional. You can't just walk in, drop a worksheet online, and go. That's where we all start, and that's okay. But how can we move from just a simple substitution model of a worksheet online and a worksheet on a table being the same thing to a much deeper integrated model that really revolutionizes and presents learning opportunities that could never have been imagined without the use of technology? Blended learning environment graphically simply looks like this before you. An online experience, a face-to-face experience, and in the center we have blended learning. And what supports these measures on the right are technology integration. Another video, What is Blended Learning, helps to support this idea. It's about a 5-minute video. Again, I give you this resource on our Lead Learner Classroom I'll introduce you to in just a moment. So, to join this classroom, if you've been a part of Classroom, and I've seen some classrooms that students are using that you all have created that blow me away. They're incredibly rich and in-depth. I mean, they're almost full-blown learning modules. Amazing how you're using Google Classroom. And it's really cool to watch a student open their classroom and 8 or 10 classrooms pop up. Clubs are using them, sports are using them. It's really cool what we're doing with it. If you've never used a classroom, here's your opportunity. So firstly, go to google.classroom.com, click on the plus, and enter our class code. So what that looks like is this. Simply go to Google, and you can do it even as a search. Oops. If I can spell, enter Classroom, Google Classroom, go to the little plus, join, and enter our class code, which again is on our presentation. And that class code is going to be, if I can remember it, VM120C. Enter that code and click join, and it'll take you into our Teachers as Lead Learners class. And here you'll find training tools as well as links to the presentation you're watching now, the videos of what is blended learning and why communication are so important. Also, standards from ISTE, the International Society for Technology Education. And these standards, like students have standards, teachers have standards and how to implement. And these are definitely worth taking a look at. When you have a few minutes, I'd love to have you take a look at these. What does it mean to facilitate and inspire student learning through technology and designing technology or digital age learning platforms? So these quick little 5 standards we'll spend more time pulling apart as we move through our training over the next few weeks. Here's what I'd love to have you do before your first training session. So some of you meet Wednesday. And again, I apologize, you only have a few days to do this. Others of you don't meet for 2 or 3 weeks. And just a reminder, I'll send an email out Monday when we get back to school about everybody's training times, just to make sure we're all on the same page, though you should have all received a letter already. So what I'd like you to do is this. Head over to the Blended Learning at LRHS forum. This will be on the stream portion of our Teachers as Lead Learners Google Classroom. Click on the Google form, and what you'll find are some quick questions. And I'd love to hear your input. What do you think would work best in a face-to-face environment? What are we already doing now that works best? What maybe isn't working best face-to-face? What are some of those activities that would work well online? And more importantly, and again, I realize we're all at different walks of technology integration and different stages and phases of this understanding and learning. And that's okay if you don't understand what an online learning activity might look like. Maybe jot down a few ideas. But I'd love to see, what are you interested in trying? Pie in the sky, no walls. What would you love to be able to do with students online? Is it meeting with a professional biologist while they're on a ship offsite out of Key West, which we've actually done with Skype? Is it taking students on a virtual field trip to Rome to walk through the Colosseum? Is it going to a cadaver lab online and watching an actual dissection, which has happened? Those are the things I really want you to consider. If you could do anything to help engage and encourage and promote and grow student learning online, what would it be? So if you have a few minutes before your training opportunity, I'd love to have you check out this form, fill it out, and we can play with these responses to help support our training over the coming weeks. If you have any questions, please give me a call, shoot me an email. I look forward to talking with you all on Wednesday. Be safe in the weather over the next few days.